wanted to write a book. I never thought I would be writing about Sikh faith principles. It was through the Turbanology project, with the development of a documentary into an Arts Council exhibition, into a website, and then looking at all that research that I had gathered and thinking, how do we present this to wider audiences, that I thought maybe a book was a right way of going about it. Because by putting all that research into a way which can connect with people who don't necessarily understand the principles of the Sikh faith or why Sikhs look different. There is no other book out there on the market which really tells the narrative of the Sikh turban. And part of the reason for writing the book was to actually fill that gap out there, to actually fill the gap in people's knowledge, as well as a product, to be something that we can point people towards when it comes to wanting to get the message out there of why Sikhs look different. It's a book that parents will want to give their young children, to inspire them, to give them that confidence in understanding why Sikhs look different, what the narrative, what the importance is of the turban and the uncut hair, why it's maintained by Sikhs as well. And also a book that professional Sikhs will want to share with non-Sikhs, a book that will find its way into libraries, into museums, into educational institutions, and be a mainstay of understanding Sikh faith principles. I think there's a massive appetite out there for Sikh products. People want to understand the Sikh community, but it's possibly a criticism of Sikhs that we've not found a way of being able to appeal to mainstream wider audiences. We're more than happy within our own niche audiences to talk to one another about our faith and our culture and identity, but we don't really necessarily take that message out there into the wider world, to people who recognise something about Sikhs, whether it be the historic contribution they made during the World Wars, or the highly successful nature that they have within Britain or within America or within Canada. But we've not really developed those products that actually enable people to find out more. To enable young Sikhs to understand more about Sikh identity has been very important to me. I think I grew up in Handsworth in the 80s, at a time when the Mandla versus Lee turban rights case had been won. So for me, growing up, going to a grammar school in Birmingham, and being raised as a Sikh within a Sikh family, I didn't really have any issues about why I looked different. Obviously, as a teenager, I went through all those trials and tribulations that all teenagers go through, about tying a bug, looking different, trying to fit in. But I never felt consciously that I was different in a negative way. I never wanted to cut my hair, I never wanted to fit in and assimilate and look like everyone else. And it helped that half my class, half my school actually, in fact, were Sikh. But today, I think it's a lot more difficult for Sikhs to try fitting in. The image of Sikhs has really been in the spotlight since 9/11 and 7/7, and it's an issue that I explored in a documentary back in 2009, which looked at something called the turban effect. Research had found that when people look at individuals with turbans or beards, they have a heightened sense of danger. That's affected the Sikh community, especially amongst communities or people who don't understand who is a Sikh and why Sikhs look different. For many ignorant people, for many people who aren't aware or don't live near Sikhs or have a knowledge of Sikhs within their communities, Sikhs can look a little bit alarming because of this heightened perception that we have of who constitutes a jihadi, and unfortunately, because of the profile of the Taliban, of Bin Laden, anyone with a turban is seen as being a threat in modern society. So we wanted to dispel that myth first and foremost. I was trying to think of how can we create knowledge, create awareness of the Sikh turban. And it really felt right that in trying to do so, we applied the ology to the subject, which was the turban. Ology being a science or awareness of or a knowledge of something. So the name really stuck out for me, and certainly with audiences wherever we've taken the Turbanology name brand and its various elements, whether it be the documentary or the touring exhibition or the website or now the book, it's really been something that audiences have smiled to, actually thought, hang on a second, that's quite neat, and taken it on board. And I think that's because there's a massive appetite out there for knowledge and awareness of turbans, not just something for the Sikh community to be able to use to inspire younger generations and give to their non-Sikh friends, but also amongst non-Sikhs there's a real yearning to want to know more about Sikh faith principles. So hopefully this the Turbanology project does the job. It's certainly enabled us to think outside of the box with how we've evolved the project, because there has been such a desire, such an audience wanting more from us.